So hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I'm sitting here with Donovan and Recovering Democrat Saadiq, and this is the Demetra K Show and Podcast. We are also now streaming on our podcast stations again, and in just a minute, Donovan will tell you which ones they are on. But again, Donovan and I are doing this podcast video by ourselves because we want to be able to give a little bit more of our opinions and things like that, so we can bring forth little bit more knowledge and education from our viewpoint anyway. I don't know how knowledgeable it'll be for you, but we feel like it's knowledgeable. So anyway, the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people with the emphasis on evenness. So today we are going to talk about the Supreme Court Justice potential nominees, that of Joe Biden. He said when he was running for president that he will put the first Black woman on the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court SCOTUS, if you will. And so we're going to get into all of that, talk about what we know so far, okay, because this is a long process. He said he wants to seat somebody by the end of February. Some people say it's a long process. Some people say it's not. So we're going to get into that. Donovan, what say you before we get started?
Well, guys, again, welcome to the podcast. Once again, Demetra K is out there creating havoc. You can follow Demetra K on the podcast on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the platforms that usually carry a podcast. Just put in Demetra K and she should pop up. And if not, you can always go to her Facebook site, and you will see some of these podcasts archived there. So just go to Demetra K on YouTube, and you can see the podcast in live form as well. But we want to welcome you guys. It is Saturday, January 29th. It is 9:50 Pacific Standard Time, and we are happy to have you, and we are looking forward to this discussion. So let's get into it, because once again, in my Donovan's opinion, we just love symbolism. We just love it. Think about this, you guys. Joe Biden is jumping to the forefront to get a nominee out there, which he did promise. Okay. So he really can't go back on this. Now, for him to do this with his numbers tanking in the freaking tank, do you think he's doing this because he really gives a damn and he wants to keep his promises? No, he's doing this to hopefully get those Black voters that are leaving in droves back to bring his numbers up. But the question is, what kind of jurist is he nominating? Demetra?
All right, so I also added that where you can find us on the podcast on the bottom of the screen next to the Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal, if you would be so kind to donate to this show, as it does take some cost to keep it going. And we love and appreciate those who donate and are members of the channel on a regular basis. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, and most definitely like this video. All right, so as we said, there is now a seat open. Justice Stephen Breyer, he is going to be retiring, and he is a liberal Democrat judge, if you will. And so Joe Biden now has
real quick, Breyer's 83 years old. Did you want to know why he's retiring? He isn't retiring really because he wants to. The Democrats have realized that, like Ginsburg, the notorious RGB, this woman sat on the court knowing she's sick and dying, that gave Trump 3 jurists. So now the political strategy is, even though the court is not supposed to be politicized, we know it is, they want to get these older jurists off to get the younger jurists on, because if you notice, the Republicans got young jurists on there. They're going to be on there for at least 20 to 30 years. So now the Democrats are looking at some of these older jurists and saying, you know what, we need you to step down, because given what had happened under Trump, we just got screwed. This guy got 3 versus you sitting there for a lifetime. So I think they're going to start being more strategic.
Okay. So regardless why he's retiring, he is retiring, and Joe Biden does have a say-so in this. Obviously, most presidents who are sitting presidents, when a seat becomes vacant, they will appoint somebody. All right. And so again, as I said at the top of the show, he said that he would appoint a Black female judge to the United States Supreme Court. All right. And so that was at the behest of Representative Jim Clyburn, who is of South Carolina. You guys know James Clyburn. He is responsible for getting Joe Biden to the presidency, because Joe Biden's presidency was dead in the water until Jim Clyburn gave it a shot in the arm by bringing him South Carolina, campaigning and all of that. South Carolina carries a lot of, important electorates, if you will. And so that helped him secure the presidency. And so they said that it was Clyburn's suggestion to Biden, hey, you need to put on a black woman if and when a seat becomes vacant. And so he got Joe, this is what they're saying, Joe Biden to agree to doing that. And so here we are. As we said, Justice Stephen Breyer is going to be retiring. And so there's a lot of names that have been speculated that will take the seat, but the White House has only confirmed one to the point of this video. And that particular person is J. Michelle Childs. She is, let me see, I want to be clear as to what she is. She is actually, let me get it. Okay, let me give you a little bit of her background so that, I will say this. She is one of the only Supreme Court justices that does not have an Ivy League education. Most of them do, okay? So she's one of them that does not. But she started off she was a commissioner for the state of South Carolina, the State Workers' Compensation Board, prior to becoming a judge in 2006. So she started being a judge in 2006, and it says some of her noteworthy decisions as a federal district judge. So that's what she is, a federal district judge. Includes a 2014 case in which she ruled in favor of a lesbian couple who sued to have South Carolina recognize their out-of-state marriage. Says also Childs is currently a president-elect of the Federal Judges Association, a voluntary organization for U.S. judges. Again, she is backed by that of Jim Clyburn, which does, in a Democratic Party, whether we like it or not, carry a lot of weight. He is the third most powerful Democrat. And so he is some sort of...
I'm the most powerful black man in America. I'm the most powerful black man in America. Fish fry. Right. Fish fry.
So he is... so he does, is considered a kingmaker. Also, she was appointed to... forgive me for not remembering, but by Barack Obama on one of the lower courts. And so she's been around a while, but then some people are saying, well, she doesn't really have the experience that a lot of other judges have. But nevertheless, that's who the White House has confirmed, that she is going to be vetted for the process. Now, she is married to a black man by the name of, his name slipped my mind. He's a doctor in South Carolina. I want to get it right. Forgive me. Floyd Angus is his name. So he's a doctor in South Carolina, a black man. I just wanted to say that. And so, as we all know, and there's other judges that they're talking about, but we don't want to talk about them just yet because they have not been confirmed to be actually vetted by the Senate. Now, I should also say this. The Republicans, of course, with their shenanigans, they're calling it identity politics, and they're even saying that it may be illegal because he's wanting to put the first black woman on the Supreme Court. But a lot of people have pointed out, well, Reagan said that he was going to appoint a woman. Yeah. Trump said he was going to appoint a woman because he liked women better. Of course, you guys know Amy Barrett was confirmed under the Trump administration under a lot of controversy. And so a lot of people are pointing out, okay, now Republicans, you guys are saying that this is illegal because he's wanting to put a black woman, specifically a black woman, on the Supreme Court. But you guys didn't have a problem with all your other Republican presidents said the same thing. It wasn't a big deal. And so we want to talk about her, and maybe not necessarily her, because we're still learning a lot about her. But we want to talk about, as Black people, the symbolism of, or let me just frame it this way. Is it symbolism that they want to put a Black woman on the Supreme Court? Donovan, what do you think?
All right, we said a lot there, and a lot of it I'm just going to have to agree with a lot of it, but a lot of it I don't agree. President Reagan said when he nominated the first woman on the Supreme Court. Now, you got to remember, Ronald Reagan was a known racist. They've got him on tape talking about Africans with no shoes and all that other stuff, all the stereotypes of that. So, these people are all racist. They come from the generation that they come from. Great. But one of the reasons that Reagan said when he nominated the first woman on the Supreme Court, which was Sandra Day O'Connor, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, he had said, by nominating a woman, it brings more of a diverse experience to the court. You can't have a court sitting there with a bunch of old white racist men and think that the laws and the are going to be fair and adequate to the people being subjugated to the law. So that was Reagan's biggest thing when he went even against his own party in nominating a woman to the bench. So even by the great racist Republican Ronald Reagan's speak, bringing a woman to the court brings a different angle of experience to American life, because women experience things different than men, and so on and so on and so forth. So we brought a black man to the court under the Bush, Daddy Bush administration. Well, and black people, we've seen how that turned out. But anyway, the black man is up there, whatever it is. So you have all these different groups of people, mostly white up there, one black person, a Latina, and now it is time, I do believe, that you do have a black woman up there, which would bring a different aspect of how her experience in American life would apply to the law as we see. And that's what I'm hoping for, because we thought the same thing under Clarence Thomas. And we see that when it comes to black issues, this Negro doesn't even talk up. So I hope this woman isn't the same. I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. But if she ends up being an Uncle Thomas, then of course I would consider that symbolism in that aspect. One of the things that is missing on the court, and you're going to see it come within the next few years, is an Asian. That is going to be the next person, group of people put on the court, because that's really the only thing really missing, other than your basic individual groups. But an Asian is going to be the most likely to do that. Putting them on the group specifically for that is a form of symbolism. Again, nominating her outright, I don't even think Joe Biden really wanted to do that. If he hadn't promised that on the campaign trail, I don't think he would do it. But he kind of backed himself in a pigeonhole, and so he has to do it. And nominating her within itself, I wouldn't call it symbolism unless she gets her ass up on there and doesn't do anything. Then it would be symbolism, because again, a lot of the people that are nominated or considered or being considered, like I showed you yesterday, a lot of them have a very questionable background in regards to their ideology.
Right. So that is the question. Is it symbolism? And of course, a lot of people, especially in the Black community, say, yeah, it's symbolism. Mm-hmm. And it's to really quell and quiet that of the Black community. Of course, you guys know Joe Biden said that he would stand by Black people because Black people stood by him in regards to getting him elected, which, is not a secret. It takes Black people to get most Democrats elected, okay? Mm-hmm. But so far, over a year into his presidency, he has not done anything specifically for Black people as he's done specifically for everybody else. Of course, you guys know some of the things we want. We do want the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to pass intact.
Very important. Very important. That if anything, if we get anything out of this administration, we need to get that, because it would impact our lives significantly across the board.
Right. So we want it intact. We don't want it to have things taken out of it, and, to help get the infrastructure bill passed, as we've heard, especially that of James Clyburn, who is supposedly a Black man.
He 83 years old.
To forgive the qualified immunity portion of it to get the rest of the infrastructure bill passed. So it's like, well, qualified immunity is kind of a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. And so we also want reparations as Black people. We've not made that a secret. We've wanted that for a very long time. It's not a new argument, but they've given us an HR 40 study. HR 40 is the reparations study, which
wait. They're giving it HR 40. I haven't heard them talk about HR 40 in
right.
I don't know how many years.
About to say. Oh. Yeah, they haven't talked about that in a very long time. It just really they kind of talked about it during the election season, but nobody's really talked about it. Of course, Joe Biden didn't make it a secret. He says, I'm not going to be responsible for something my ancestors did. So he's not on board reparations. Neither was Kamala. Nah, I'm not just going to do anything for Black people.
But I'll do it for my people, my Asian people. I'll do that, though. Not for Black people, though. But specifically for other groups, yeah, I'll do that. Right.
So, we want better education. We want gentrification to stop. We want the redlining to stop. We want better housing opportunities. And you know, there's a lot of things that we want that we have not specifically. Now, when we say specifically, we're talking about just for Black people. Like the Asians got something, Afghans got something, the Hispanics
Indians
got something, Indians have gotten something, and a lot of our so-called Black politicians have signed on to getting specifics for other people, but they have not signed
even
on.
authored it. Didn't even sign on it. They championed it.
Correct. So here we are with the Supreme Court nominee process. We don't know who exactly it's going to be, although we know J. Michelle Childs is officially, it has been invited to the White House, you know, the Senate confirmation hearing and all of that. But a lot of people are saying it is symbolism because what happens is they give us something that has the word
no
Black
substance
attached to it.
Yeah.
Like your Juneteenth and, you know, your other things that are kind of low-hanging fruit. Oh, it got the word Black on it, and we think that's a win. Yeah, we think it's a win, and it's not a win because while having a Black Supreme Court justice is important, but then if you say, is it really important? If you look at somebody like Clarence Thomas, look at the decisions he, as a Black man, he calls himself a Black man, has made a lot of it against that of Black people. Hell, his wife, Jeannie,
insurrectionist.
she ran up to the she wasn't at the insurrection, but she funded the people to go to the insurrection by way of renting buses and stuff. And she tweeted and put on her Facebook that she was basically in support of the insurrection. You guys know that took place January 6, 2021. When they were trying to stop the steal, when Trump told them to go and let them know that we will not be, the election won't be stolen from us. All right. So having a Black Supreme Court justice, because we got one, and look how that has panned out for us. And so while I guess it could be a win if she rules, but this is another thing. Let's just back it up because a lot of people really don't maybe understand what the Supreme Court does. Supreme Court is the final law of the land. They are the final arbiter of the law. So it is also known that the Supreme Court hears less than 10% of cases that come to it. Now, the cases that go to them come from the lower courts when people aren't happy with the decisions that were made there. And so they file it's a writ of certiorari or something like that. I know I said it wrong, but they file that writ. And then they look at it and they go by a rule of 4, which means it takes 4 Supreme Court justices to say, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and hear that. And then they'll have to go through other processes, but it's rare, right? And so also the job of the Supreme Court justices is to interpret the law. They don't make law. They don't have anything to do with that. That is Congress's job. So ultimately, Congress is where the power is. The Supreme Court is just like, okay, you made it here by the grace of God, because you think in less than 10% of cases is really a miracle. Made it here by the grace of God. What say you, right? And so it's going to take 5 Supreme Court justices to actually rule in favor of the respondent or the petitioner, okay? Petitioner is the person that brings it to court. Respondent is the person who was responding. So it's still kind of like, it's important because they do create precedences where things that have never been heard or ruled on before, it is new. And so other cases can use that to back up their claim or whatever the case is. But is it really important in the larger scheme of things when it comes to Black people?
Well, let me ask you this question, because you brought up how Congress works and how the Supreme Court works. Okay, here's the thing with the Supreme Court, and correct me if I'm wrong, because a lot of people say, and you'll hear, especially people who are in opposition of Black people getting anything, that executive orders isn't a law. That's not true. The executive orders are a law. Yes, can they be reversed when the next administration comes in? Absolutely, they can be reversed. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys need to listen to this. If executive orders are not a law, why is it that DACA, almost 10 years after the fact that Obama made those orders, is still being debated in the Supreme Court to this very day? So when you hear these people out here talking about
how many times did Trump take it there?
Right, exactly. The Obamacare. it keeps going back to the Supreme Court. It keeps going back to the Supreme Court. But the difference with Obamacare was it's actually a law that was passed by Congress. So if you guys understand government, which is very hard to understand, don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting anybody to be a scholar. I passed it, but I couldn't clep it or challenge it. That's one classes I could not challenge, and I was surprised I couldn't do it. 3 forms of government. They are equal to each other. The attack on the Capitol was the executive branch attacking the legislative branch. Okay, 2 equal forms of government. That's what it's coming down to. So when an executive order, you're going to hear all these Negroes out here who don't know a damn thing about the law or just basic common sense are going to say, well, that's not a law. That's not a law. Getting us executive orders isn't going to help us because when the next administration comes in, they could just sign that away. That's true, but it is a law because if it is challenged to the Supreme Court, thus 10 years after DACA was signed by Obama, the litigants are still challenging it in the Supreme Court. So every time the Supreme Court says, well, we'll revisit it, or can you redo this? We'll kick it to the lower court, then they kick it back up. 10 years later, they're still fighting it. 10 years later. So don't tell me it's not a law. So am I correct in that or am I wrong?
I mean, you're right. Like you said, it's not just like, a president can come and say, okay, well, I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to change it. It does have to go through Congress and then eventually the Supreme Court, which, like you said, the Obamacare is a perfect argument that, especially with the Trump administration, because that was the administration that came after Obama. He was like, I want to get rid of it, and they tried repeatedly to get rid of it. And the Supreme Court says, no, I'm kicking it back to Congress. Mm-hmm. Or what have you. We really don't have, standing the rule on that because you guys made it a law.
Into law. You passed it into law. Right.
So y'all need to go back and argue that there. But mm-hmm. our hands are tied. And so their job is to, to interpret
if it's right. Exactly. Right. So if Biden would write executive orders and say, okay, we're going to give Black people reparations, he can technically do that. Will it be challenged? Of course it will. Of course it will, because you got a lot of racist Democrats and people in the United States. But it is a law. It's an executive law. And
he has the power of the pen.
Right. And if it was challenged, shouldn't the NAACP and all these so-called Black organizations be the litigant representing Black people to make sure it gets to the Supreme Court so that it doesn't get overturned?
But my thing is this, because I have heard that argument, we don't want it by executive order. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Right.
Everybody else gets their stuff by executive order. How the hell you think DACA came into place? You think Hispanics are saying, why now? We wanted to go all the way to Congress. That's why the executive order is in place, because Congress couldn't make a decision. And so the president says, okay, since y'all knuckleheads want to play around, let me do what I do. That's why, that's where the executive orders come from. The president saying, I'm going to overrule everything. And I'm going to sign it. And so if we as Black people can get things by executive order, I don't have a problem with that, especially hell to say if Biden was the right executive order that we get reparations now. He's in office 3 more years.
Right.
Who gonna check him, boo?
Right. Exactly.
Right now, they still have, like you said, there's gonna be some Democrats that in there who are racist.
Joe Biden, Kirsten Sinema, Nancy Pelosi, right. you know the usuals. Jim Clyburn.
If he were to do that, send the checks out, what they gonna do? Talk about y'all owe us money back because we decided y'all don't get reparations?
Right. And you got to think about this. After 10 years of debating this, over 10 years of Obama healthcare, after 10 years for Congress to go back and repeal it and take that away from people, you think that's going to stand?
Yeah, it's not a good look, because regardless of whether people like it or not, a lot of Republicans benefit from the Obamacare,
especially those West Virginians and those Kentuckians, and and I hate to say this in the wrong way, but the grassroots trailer park, trailer park, lower end white folks benefit.
Yeah, regardless, and there was a survey done, or I guess some sort of an interview is what it was really, where they went and interviewed a lot of people in Mississippi, like I said, the bluegrass states and all of that, and it says, Well, what do you think about Obamacare? I hate it. It needs to go. It's messing up our country. Well, what do you feel about the Affordable Care Act? Oh, it's necessary. I need it. If it wasn't for
I
Affordable
couldn't have
Care
got that
Act,
operation.
yeah, my wife wouldn't be here. And they're like, it's the same thing, right?
Right.
So, it's really all about knowing, but that goes to prove that, it was racist because it was Obama's name attached to the same thing they thought was beneficial, but they were listening to people like your Trumps and all of them,
Fox
telling them
News.
it was bad and making them think Trump made them think I have commonality with you people down there. We're the same. It was like, you're not.
Yeah, isn't it funny? Speaking of that, and I know it's kind of going off topic a little bit, but here's a man who's a billionaire, so-called billionaire. I got to say that because I don't want to get sued because we know he's not. But but here's a man who ran as a Republican and ran as a populist, but yet here we are, Democrats who are supposed to be for the people, which is a populist movement, and Hillary Clinton ran as a corporatist and lost, and they continue to take L's. How does a billionaire run as a populist and got all of these people behind him, knowing he's never done a damn thing for them? But like you said, he uses the right words and he appealed to their desire to be, for the little man and the working man.
Whiteness. He was the champion of the preservation of whiteness. And so a lot of them were just like, yo, we need to really get him in there. But going back to the Supreme Court justice nominee of a Black woman, I mean, me personally, as a Black woman, I would love to see a Black woman on the United States Supreme Court. But I want to see a Black woman that's actually going to be beneficial.
An activist jurist.
Yeah. To that of Black people. But again, a lot of those cases rarely ever get there, right? The things that we need done are in Congress. It's in the hands of Congress. Those are the things that we need to get done. But unfortunately, we as Black people, see, this is why, to me, if I haven't said already, it is flat out symbolism, right? Because we get hung up on the wrong stuff. Oh, we're going to get a Black woman. That's a win for Black people. Well, you got to really ask yourself, is it? Because every time you go to the booth, when I say booth, the voting booth, you nominate people or elect people who are Black, but then they go and vote white.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where we need to really be focused on the people that we send to Congress, because those are the ones that are making the laws and this, that, and the other. But the Supreme Court won't even, that stuff won't get there for a very long time, if ever, right? I mean, and the perfect example is the Voting Rights Act. What does the Supreme Court really have to do with that? That's still hung up in the halls of Congress.
Right.
And the difference.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court can't rule on it until somebody makes a argument to do it. And by the time it gets to Congress, that takes a while because you got to go through the lower courts before it even gets to the higher courts.
Exactly. So is it symbolism? Yes, it's nothing but symbolism. And because it sounds like it will be a Black woman, because he's kind of
he has to
because he was vehement about it. You know what I mean? But then again, he could lie because he has.
Yeah, but the thing is that would be the nail in the coffin with the baby boomer generation. That is his base.
But then to that point, the baby boomers, once a Black woman does get nominated to Supreme Court,
they're done. They don't care after that. They're done.
Y'all just complaining. Why y'all ain't never happy? I can hear right now in my head. I know a couple people that if I was to bring this argument up with them, well, that's symbolism, right? Oh, you ain't never happy. It's a Black woman. Damn, what did you want?
Demetra, it's something.
It's something. That's what they would say. It's something. Like, why are you? Damn. Well, you always complain. It's like we as Black people, we are sold that we are supposed to expect the low-hanging fruit and be happy with that.
Well, you got to remember, our parents' generation, they were happy with the fact of, okay, you have a group of people, there's 10 people. Their whole ideology is, out of the 10, there should be 2 Black. We just want to see 2 Black faces. They didn't say they want 2 Black faces representing us. They just want to see 2 Black people and be inclusive. That generation's about being inclusive, not about substance. It's inclusiveness, not substance. Oh, as long as we can see one, we're good. What is the point of putting somebody that looks like you up there if they're going to do no different than the people who are opposed to you?
Right. I mean, I agree. So, but again, how do you reach out to those people and say, hey, don't fall for it?
Well,
This
you
is
just got to wait for them to die,
symbolism.
get old and
Huh?
die. You got to wait for them to get old and die.
Well, even the people who are young enough, and that's the
Yeah.
other thing too. They were saying the Supreme Court nominees should be young, and J.
Right.
Michelle Childs is 55. So I guess
Yeah.
that's young relatively,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's young. And yeah, they should be young because it's a lifetime position. So
Mm-hmm.
they will be there for a good part of their life making decisions. And unfortunately, not to, participate in ageism, when people get older, a lot of times their faculties, escapes them. I'm not,
And
again,
and they're a product of the time that they ruled in. See, that's why I think certain things like this, if the presidency is restricted to 2 terms, why isn't Congress having restrictions on their terms? Why isn't the Supreme Court having restrictions on their terms? Because if I'm 80 years old and I'm a racist, okay, I'm not going to change in my ideology just because the times are changing. I'm not going to do that because guess what? I'm at a lifetime appointment. I don't owe nobody nothing. I don't have to change. So I'm one of those people. Hey, I don't believe in professional politicians. I don't believe in professional jurists. That's why we don't have professional juries. You guys notice that? Because if you have professional juries, every black person would be convicted. Every black one would be convicted.
right? Talking about, oh, it's a black man coming. Oh, well, I'm going to say he's guilty
Right,
now.
exactly. That's why we don't have those. And that's why the juries have to be diverse and changing to meet,
Supposedly, right?
right. Yeah, supposedly, yeah. Well, if we, it's a lot of that's our fault because we don't show up and do everything to avoid it. But yeah, so I do believe that maybe there should be a 20-year limit to be, a generation. You should be able to do like two generations and you got to go. Because I'm sorry, if you're from the 1960s, oh, I marched with King and I did all it. You got Clarence Thomas that don't give a damn. He's on there for a life and he doesn't give a damn. So how much change can we expect in the country if you got these people that are up there that just, no, I've been here since 1970 and, we've always done it that way. A good example, the filibuster. It ain't a law. It's a rule. Well, it's been there for so many years. It's just tradition. No. This rule is holding up a whole nation's forward progress.
Right. Just get rid of it. Right. We don't want to ever see Ted Cruz read Green Eggs and Ham again.
Right.
You know?
But that filibuster is good because you have to hold it. So I'm good with that.
Right. But so then there's this other thing that's come up, and Donovan, you kind of, talked about it. Some of those potential Supreme Court nominees as black women are married to white men. Does that matter?
What does that got to do with it? That ain't got nothing to do with it. It don't matter who she loves. She can love who she want to love. A black woman can love who she want to love. That has no jurisdiction. That's a black woman. She needs to go up there. You can't hold her accountable for nothing. How dare you? How dare you turn in your sister car? You should not be talking about that and that woman with a white man. Lord. Nothing wrong with a little cream in your coffee.
So do you think that's problematic?
Okay. Here's what I think. And we were talking about symbolism. We were talking about the generation ahead of us that was like, ooh, he's going to nominate. Doesn't this sound familiar? Oh, he promised he was going to nominate a black woman to be VP. Oh, he better nominate a black woman to be VP. Oh, we going to get Kamala in there. She going to ski-wee in. And oh, it's going to be different because Kamala's going to do all this great stuff. How many of you guys listening remember that? Where y'all at? I can't even find y'all. Okay, Kamala became the VP. A lot of y'all did not know Kamala's record here in California, nor did you care to research it. Now, the issue that Demetra just brought up, I researched that yesterday because I was like, let me find out a little homework on these sisters. And I found out that at least half of these jurists, possible jurists, are married to white men. Now, does that matter? Not necessarily. But as we know in the black community, you can't be pro-black and you're married to the other man instead of the brother man or the brother sister, right? Because we know how that turned out. Clarence Thomas is married to a white woman. Look how he rules. Kamala Harris, the VP, is married to a white man. She remains silent, but yet Ooh, when she gets in there, things gonna be different. She gonna tell Joe how to do it. She gonna do this. She gonna do that. She ain't doing a goddamn thing.
Well, I will say this. So the other two that are on, the short list, if you will, to becoming the next Black female Supreme Court justice is that of Leonor Kruger. She is married to a white man. Okay. The other one is Katanji, Katanji, I think that's how you say it.
Is that the one from Africa?
Yeah, Katanji Jackson. Yeah. She's also married to a white man. Okay. So those are the three. So J. Michelle Childs, Leonor Kruger, and Katanji Jackson are the three. And out of two of those, they are married to a white man. And so, again, if you want to kind of compare maybe apples and apples a little bit, you have that of Clarence Thomas, who is married to a white woman. Now, I don't know necessarily how much she has influence she has on him, but we'll just say this. A lot of people are calling for Clarence Thomas to resign or be impeached due to his wife, being in support of the insurrection, which is illegal and against the Constitution, by the way, which is something that he interprets,
Right.
So it could be a conflict of interest. I don't know. But if we're talking about ruling on the side of Black, how much of an influence do their white husbands have in that?
Well, let's just use our common sense in that, okay? And I know, sisters, all you feminazis, I'm not talking to you because there ain't no change in you guys. But let's just use our common sense. I'm a Black female. I'm a female, okay? And I'm married to a white man. The man is a leader in the home, right? Now, I'm not saying bow down. When I say bow down, I don't mean it in the negative connotation, but usually a woman deflect, she basically gives into her husband's whims, basically. Let him lead, and she goes by that. Okay, I don't want to offend my husband, right? So, okay, I was in the military, and I say this all the time when I see a lot of my friends that are foreigners. They marry white men, and I'm not saying just white men, but they marry other men other than their culture. And then I'll see the children. I say, hey, well, speak some Japanese to me if they come from a Japanese culture. Oh, they don't know how to speak Japanese. Well, why not? Oh, we just didn't do that. Well, yeah, they're white, but they're also Japanese. So why are you not teaching the culture, your culture, as well as their culture? And a lot of them don't do that because they want to inflect to their husbands, basic whims. Some of your most racist people in the United States marry foreigners. They do, So if I'm a Black woman and I'm married to a white man, and we know this in our community, the chances of that person actually thinking that they're Black in the aspect of like being Black, no, because they run in those white circles.
Okay, listen to this, because I was just looking up, Miss Leonor Kruger. She is actually she sits on the Supreme Court, I think, of California. If not, I know she's from California. Okay.
Yeah.
Although she's a Democrat, she tends to lean a little bit more
conservative.
Republican. They say that she is more moderately liberal on civil cases and more conservative on criminal matters.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yeah. So, I mean, and we know, just if you want to, tie them together, Joe Biden is the author of every major and minor crime bill since 1976. And we know that a lot of Black people are incarcerated due to a lot of the crime bills that he championed and authored. Also, what most prominent is the 3 strikes law, which is predominantly have Black men in prison. And so if you have this lady who is going to potentially be the next Supreme Court justice, and she is more conservative on criminal matters, that is problematic. And I say this problematic because right now, the Supreme Court is arguing that of the death penalty and how it should be administered. A lot of drug pharmaceutical companies do not want their drugs or their, to be associated with the death penalty for a lot of reasons. One of them being, a lot of people saying the death penalty is cruel and inhumane.
It's cruel,
so now, a lot of states, the death penalty is being lethal injection. There's 3 medications that's needed. And so some of them they don't have right now. So they're kind of substituting, and it's causing, as Justice Sotomayor has said, that it causes a lot of the inmates to be burned at the stake, if you will, from
in
the
their
inside
veins.
out.
Yeah, their
And
veins
so
out.
it is said to be cruel and unusual, which is against the Constitution, cruel and unusual punishment. So they are arguing that. However, it is going forward because this United States Supreme Court is made up of mostly conservatives. And so even though Amy Coney Barrett, however you say her name is, she ruled with the liberals, she was still, they were still overruled. And so that barbaric form of lethal injection is allowed to continue. So I say all of that to say is, if Leonor Kruger gets on and she's more conservative on the criminal justice side, what does that really mean for death row inmates who are predominantly Black?
Well, let me ask you this, since you brought that up. Okay, here in California, Black people are disproportionately made up. There's only a lot of people don't know this because there's a mass exodus out of California. Do you guys know that the population in California of Black people is 6%?
If that.
Yeah, 6%. That was the last official thing that I read on. 6% of Black people, but yet Black people incorporate, I believe, 70% of the incarcerated people in the jails?
Yeah,
it's like 70, right? So if this lady is on the Supreme Court here in California, and here's another thing you guys don't know about jurists. No, she can't rule on like a case because it takes like 3 or 4 of them to rule on it, right? But jurists do write legal opinions to like Harvard University and Stanford and all these people like that to give their honest opinion of what they think about it, because you're sitting on the Supreme Court, so they want to know your opinion, and it goes into the law books for the students. How many writs has this woman wrote in regards to the disparity of Black people in the prisons here in California, or much less across the United States, much less the homelessness? 6% of homelessness, or 6% of the population of California is Black, but yet they say over 60% of the homelessness is Black people. Ain't that something? And she's a jurist. Where's her writings in regards to her thoughts? Because it's very important that Supreme Court jurists and stuff like that write down historical thought of a certain case or a certain issue. So that's why they should do that. And I almost guarantee you, she has nothing written in regards to George Floyd or anything else of that nature.
Sorry about that. So this is Leonor Kruger's husband, Brian Kruger. He is also a judge in California. And so I just wanted to, you guys.
Wow, what a winner. He's got swag. He's got swag.
I just wanted you guys to see that that is Leonor's husband. You guys can make your own judgment, do your own research, but that is her husband, Brian. They have 2 children and, all of that. So again, she is, more liberal when it comes to civil matters and more conservative when it comes to criminal. So that should be considered, especially as far as Black people are concerned, because we tend to get the short end of the stick when it comes to criminal matters.
Right. But see, Demetra, how many times have I said, and I hate when people say, oh, we got to get more Black people to do this. We got to get Black people in certain positions. How many times have I proven that we have Black people in certain positions and yet nothing gets done? We had a president of the United States that was Black, didn't get nothing done. We have a current vice president, nothing gets done. How many police chiefs around the nation are Black or was Black because they started resigning, was Black, and the culture of the police departments have changed? So, I don't want, how many Black representatives do we have? So I don't want to hear about, oh, we got to vote more Democrats in and we got to vote. No, we don't. We have all the people we need in the positions that they need to be in, and yet nothing changes.
Right. I'm just pulling up a picture of Katanji's husband so you guys can see what he looks like. I mean, I just think it's interesting.
And and then I want people to understand this too. When you bring up this issue about their spouses being another race or whatever, this isn't a racial issue. And I hate when people deflect to that. Oh, you're bringing it about race. No, we're not. This has nothing to do with race. This has to do with how this jurist will rule in regards to.
Right. Okay.
That's like me being a Nazi, and I'm a known Nazi, and I have a Jew in front of me. Has nothing to do with my spouse, but then maybe it does. But it's not a racial thing. It's not racial. It's ideology. How do you think? Because I know, being a black person and a pilot in my unit, most flying units are white, 96% white. So when we would go to events, very few black people are there, right? And so you're in this world that is not the world that I would be used to. There ain't no R&B playing at a white get together. It's usually country and west, their culture type stuff. So you have to kind of mingle in that world, and that's what we're saying. It's not racial. It's how she has to move once she's on that court, or and some of the decisions that she makes.
Right. So that is Katanji Jackson's husband.
Woo!
He is a doctor as well. So, and then Michelle Child's husband is black. I should find a picture of him. In all fairness, for somebody has a conniption, but that is.
But doesn't this go up to what we're saying? Kevin Samuels always says sisters that have money are on a certain level. They don't level down. They level up. At least you're supposed to.
I mean, is that considered leveling up when you marry a white man?
No, I'm looking at his profession.
Oh, as far as being a doctor?
Yeah, being a doctor and stuff like that. See, and that's what I'm saying. For me, it's not a racial thing. It's more of, how is she going to, if you have mixed children, do you discard their black side because they're mixed? No, the world's going to see them as black or whatever they are. They're not white. That's for damn sure.
Right. So, well, I mean, some people may have a problem with that, them marrying white men. Again, I mean, like I said, people should really draw their own conclusions. But if you think of somebody like Clarence Thomas, who is married to a white woman who is about that life, you know what I mean?
It's obvious. It's obvious she runs the pants in that family.
Well, how much, influence is she really, or their husband's really going to have on their decision making? I mean, you just take Clarence Thomas, for example. His wife, Jeannie, I think that's how you say her name. Yeah. She knows her husband has a very important job. He is the highest court in the land. And if I take my pasty self out there and join the insurrection to some degree, I might put him in jeopardy. But how much say so did he really? Did he say, no, honey, please don't go, don't do it? Or did he say he have my support, honey?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, some of the bogus claims that Donald Trump is making in regards to the insurrection that has gone up to the Supreme Court, I think the last one, Clarence Thomas was the only one that dissented. He didn't write why he dissented. He was like, well, no, because it kind of links his wife to what was going on.
Right. So this is Dr. Floyd Angus, and he is the husband of Michelle Childs. I forget her first name is Juliana, or maybe I got it wrong, so I don't want to get. I just know her professional name is J. Michelle Childs, and this is her husband, Doctor.
Isn't he? He's a doctor. Is it? I thought he was like a man. I know he's a professional man.
No, he's a doctor as well. So I mean, marry up. I don't know, but that is so. He is the husband of the one that has been officially invited to be vetted for the Supreme Court justice position.
Real quick, isn't this lady? Wasn't she just put on the federal bench just last year?
I want to say it was 2016. If I'm not mistaken, I think she's been there for 4 years.
Okay, because I know two of them just got on the bench. Was appointed last year under the Biden administration. I want to say it was 2016. Okay, I know she's made some really recent decisions, if you will, on the position she is in. Like one of them in South Carolina, that's where she's at, South Carolina with James Clyburn. She made the decision that employers do not have to hire people who refuse to be vaccinated. She also Wow.
Right. Yeah. And then, if we just stop right there for a second, I mean, I don't know if it's more Black people than white people, because we are only a certain percentage of the population. But there's a lot of Black people who are refusing to get vaccinated because you guys
No,
know
the Tuskegee
that the United
experiment.
States
Mhm.
has not been friendly to Black people,
Yeah.
medically speaking. And so, of
Mhm.
course, there's these, you know, these hesitations, if you will, about the vaccination. And so a lot of people need to work. And we know, especially in the service industry, Black people disproportionately make up that of the service industry. And so if you're saying people cannot work unless they get vaccinated, I think that's harmful to your people. We really want to stretch.
Yeah, so now I've lost my job because I'm trying to make a medical decision for myself and for my family.
Yeah, and so she's ruled in favor of employers not having to hire people who do not want to be vaccinated. She's also, though, on the other hand, ruled against some of the ballot measures that they were trying to put in place in South Carolina, saying that there needs to be a witness to the absentee ballot process. She's saying no, it doesn't need to be. So that's
but isn't it funny how everybody was worried about Trump being this dictator or whatever, but yet ever since the Biden administration has come into, and I'm not bashing the Democrats, I'm just throwing out facts. Ever since the Biden administration and the Democrats have come into power, and a lot of these Democratic governors and stuff, they are mandating and dictating what needs to be done and how to do it. You know what I mean? And that's not democracy at all.
Right. So, I guess really what we're saying here in a nutshell is that, and I know we've talked about a lot.
Symbolism.
But yeah, it's symbolism. It really is. And as a Black woman, I would love to see a Black woman on the United States Supreme Court. There's only, I think, 6 Black women on as far as appellate judges are concerned, if I'm not mistaken. At a higher level.
Remember all of those Black women that were elected in 2016 in Texas, the Black Girl Magic jurisdiction.
Right. I mean,
and a lot of them got caught up in some bullshit.
So they say, but I guess the point that I'm making is, as a Black woman, I would love to see a Black woman hold that position. But as a Black woman, I would love to see a Black woman who is actually going to be good for Black people. And I'm not saying these women are not. I'm just saying this is the stuff that Donovan and I know and that we have presented to y'all about them. Mm-hmm. Y'all should do a little bit more deep digging. Not that we have a say-so in the matter anyway. We don't.
We're just presenting to you some things that you might want to consider.
Right. We don't have a say-so in the matter. But the Democrats, no doubt, will try to sell this to Black people as this is a win. I gave you something. Go away now.
Right. Now think about that. And when you said that this is a win, how is it a win when you're not presenting us anything tangible? I want some tangibles.
Well, again, they will try to sell that as something tangible. Look. We put a Black woman. It's never, ever, 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 ever been done before. And
reparations never, ever been given to Black people before. So give us that.
But this is the sad part though. They know there's a lot of people in the Black community with a voice that a lot of Black people listen to, like your Roland Martins and all of those cats.
Al Sharpton.
All of them. They'll go out there and they'll get their talking points and their little butter biscuit. And they'll go out there and sell that as a win.
Y'all don't know anything about politics. Y'all need to be quiet. Y'all need to kiss my ass. That's my impression of Roland Martin.
Right. So they'll get those people on board with it, right? Those people go out there and they'll do a great job of ramming it down your throat. Oh, you'll see Roland Martin crying as she's getting confirmed.
Can you wait? What's the jurist's name? Give me one of them. The Black jurist.
Who?
You just give me a Black jurist.
Oh, as far as that's going to be nominated?
Yeah.
J. Michelle Childs.
J. Michelle Childs. Can you wobble? Important positions like this. You had a presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton. Remember that, you guys? He's going to ask her, can she wobble?
Because that's going to get you a lot of votes.
Yeah. So you Black jurists, female jurists, if you're listening, can y'all wobble? Because we love being entertained.
Right. And so again, it's symbolism on a surface level. It is symbolism because it's important to have a Black woman because Black women are part of the United States. And, especially when it comes to a lot of decisions, especially with women's reproductive rights, we know Black women are very underserved when it comes to that. And so it's important to have a Black woman who would be able to say, well, let me speak from my portion demographics of the United States point of view. That's important. But We need to make sure that her views are aligned with helping Black people. That's what we need to make sure. But even
Absolutely.
if they do put a Black woman on a nice straight Supreme Court, how is that a win for us as Black people and helping us move the ball forward with criminal justice, with housing, with education, with reparations, with
child support?
With child support. How does that help us close the gap? Okay, we know that it's going to take us 232 years potentially to close the wealth gap, to catch up to that of white people who have $171,000 in wealth to our 17, give or take, probably more on the take side. It's going to take us that long to close the wealth gap, not due to really necessary thing that we have done, due to us being robbed of the labor and everything else from slavery to Jim Crow to now. The Black people have never been paid back for, hence the word reparations. And so those are the things that are important to Black people.
Yeah. I mean, and we really got to look at this. Like I said, a lot of us know, when, I'm not saying it makes her a bad person, but love who you want to love. I always say that, love who you want to love, but who you decide to love tells us a lot about you yourself. It really does, so.
I mean, I just, and I never have an answer for this because I often have people ask me, can you be pro-Black and sleep white? Or, be
I don't think so, but I don't think
somebody else who's not Black.
Yeah, I don't think so.
To me, the question is, the answer is a little bit more complex than yes or no. And I say that because it's easy for us to say, oh, well, yeah, no, it doesn't make you pro-Black if you sleep with somebody other than Black. But I always impose the question of, well, what about Black people who are sleeping Black and don't help Black people and aren't good for Black people?
Good
so
point. Good
point. Do you just, I know it needs a little bit more, but do you just being married to somebody who is Black, does that
validate you? Does that validate you?
Does it make you pro-Black, or does it, or does your actions make you pro-Black? I think those are the questions we need to be asking, instead of saying, well, he's with a Black woman. What if she's a coon? What if she don't like Black people herself?
Well, damn, you have white people and other groups advocating more so going harder for Black people than Black people themselves.
Right. So that's why I'm saying, that's why I said, for me, the question of, can you be pro-Black and be with somebody else, is a little bit more complex than a yes or no, because we got to examine the other attributes of being pro-Black. Like I said, I know a lot of Black people who are with Black people and they don't do nothing for Black people. In fact, a lot of the things they do, okay, let's just answer this question right here. Let's break it on down, okay? Maxine Waters, who's she married to?
Cleophas Williams.
Waters.
Yeah, Cleophas Williams, whatever his name is.
She's married to a Black man, is she not?
Yeah, she is.
How has she helped Black people in all the time she's been in office?
30 plus years, 0.
James Clyburn was married to a Black woman. What did he? He was married to a Black woman. What did he do to help Black people in the time that he was married to her? Because she's dead now. R.I.P.
Yeah. Fish fries.
Okay, so I guess you know where I'm going with that. There's a lot of Black people in positions of power,
and I've always said that.
Yeah, that married to Black people, and they've not done anything to help Black people. So that's why I said that argument it takes a little bit more than yes or no.
Right, right. I mean? Because again, it was a white woman that put reparations on the national stage, because a lot of people hadn't heard about it, and her name was Ann Williamson. And she's still talking about reparations. Yeah, she's still talking about it. Even though her numbers are low, it was a white woman that brought it up. You had all these Black leaders out here. Al Sharpton got a TV show, Joy Reid. They ain't talking about reparations. But this woman is going all across the circuit, and she always brings up the need for Black people to get their just due. She's always bringing that up.
Right. So when you think about somebody being married or not married to somebody Black or married to somebody white, look at their track record. That should be most important, other than, well, they're just married to a Black man. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Dimitri. Me and you always talk about, you and I always talk about critical thinking. A lot of people don't critically think. When all this stuff was announced, one of the first things I did was I did my own research and came to my own conclusion, or at least if I have questions, I didn't come to a conclusion, I still have questions. Most people won't even go to that. They just see Black person, but doesn't know. And I'm just this is not true, I'm just saying this as an example, that black person could be married to a Klan member for all you know. And you're like, woo, yes, ooh, Lord, yes, woo, yeah, black face. They use it all the time. They have a black spokesman, but look at Fox News and look at all the black Fox anchors that are on that bullshit over there. You got former Fox anchors like Gretchen Carlson talking about, no, that's why I had to leave, the racism and the bull, but black people want to get a check, and you got these black people up there. Ooh, there was a recent internet black show. What was it called? The
Fox,
black no, the
black channel or something.
Yeah, the black news channel or the BNC.
Yeah.
Owned by a white man. But they're gonna put all these black people to make you think that it's black. It's all, you gotta look beneath the surface.
Partially owned by that of Shad, what's the name for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the owner of that.
Right, so, exactly.
Yeah, so you gotta it's really, we in the black community, before we leave, we need to engage in more critical thinking.
Yeah.
Stop taking the bone that they, in this case being the Democrats, throw you and say, child, woo, we got a black. No, say that.
And then you get egg on your face and then you disappear.
Yeah, it's cute, but let me go and do my research and see if this is something I really should be celebrating. Let me make sure this is aligned with that of helping black people get out from underneath the totem pole, right? We need to do more critical thinking, but they bank on us as black people just going along with it. And then God forbid somebody come and try to tell you differently. Like in my situation, I know my siblings don't watch, and that's okay. And if they do, it's okay too. But if I try to inject some new thought process into it, you just hate, you just tripping. Well, it's something. You know what? I'm just good with being American. We're all American. And I'm like,
yeah,
how the hell we
keep
got
believing that.
Siblings?
Keep believing that. There's different levels of American.
Yeah, but I'm like, how the hell do we got the same parents? How? But so you're gonna listen. Anytime you and listen, my brothers and sisters are smart. Yeah. When I say they're smart, they're teachers and professors. Yeah, okay, professionals, and in the financial industry, so they're very smart. But when it comes to black issues,
don't rock the boat.
Yeah, this kind of like
what we want. Rock the boat.
We want to go along to get along type of thing. Just be happy because unfortunately, as a lot of black people, and no shade to my siblings, but a lot of black people, which Dr. Claude Anderson calls exceptional blacks, they feel like, well, I've made it. I've got my piece of the pie.
Let me pull this ladder up.
And not even pulling the ladder up. It's just more or less like, well, I'm doing fine. So I don't see a problem with what they're doing. But it's like, you're only looking at it from the lens of your particular household, but you're not looking at it the lens of black people.
I'm glad you brought that up because I know we're running out of time here, but I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people ask me and they say, why are you, Donovan, why are you doing what you're doing when you made it? You're fine. You got a retirement, you got everything's taken care of, you own everything you've got. Why should you even care? Because you want to know why? I have children. And one day I'm going to be a grandfather and I got to leave a legacy. So if I don't fight for them now, which is why we are fighting right now, we shouldn't be fighting the fight that we're fighting now if our parents hadn't dropped the ball.
Also, and how much do you really have it if your community is that much away from being, not necessarily physically extinct, but extinct in a whole lot of ways. So if you don't have a community to back you up, how good are you really? Because all the other people, white people, Asians, Hispanics, they got a community that's thriving to back them up. And so black people who are delusional in that thinking that says, well, I'm fine. Are you
it's only
really?
It's only going to be a matter of time before they come to you.
If your rest of your community is swept into the tidal wave, how do you think those white people are going to say, well, come under our wings. We'll love you because you're exceptional. They're going to be like, you better go jump in the water.
Right. Exactly. And that's the reality of the whole thing. And it's just so sad. But to what you were saying about these people that are doing that, if you're sitting there thinking that, my parents will get mad at me, I don't want to argue with them, keep talking to them. Because I'm going to tell you something. I love my mom to death. I love her to death. My only parent. My mom was a widow. She was the only parent I know. And it took me having to show her that receipts. Like you used to say that, the receipts. Oh, you got to show me the receipt. I came with the receipts, and my mom could not continue to do what she was doing. 60 years has passed, and we're stuck. Oh, y'all didn't pick up the ball. That's not the point. Y'all didn't give us the ball.
Y'all
To
took
pick
the
up the
ball
ball,
and
you got to
ran
give
with
it
it.
to us.
Yeah, y'all
You
took
got
it
to
and
pass
ran
it
with
off,
it.
right? But my mom became an independent. So if you think that they're not listening, they're listening if you are showing them the facts. I couldn't just say, "Oh, mom, Kamala Harris is just bad." Based on what? Oh, well, here she did the crime bill. This is that. Joe Biden. You just come with the receipts, and that's it.
Yep. Keep talking. Somebody will listen. So anyway, y'all, it's been a pleasure to be here on the Demetra K Show. As always, we'll be back here Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Time to talk about, I don't know, whatever, but we will also have a live audience where we read each and every comment, question, or concern of those who are viewing, because we feel like the viewers should be participants as well instead of just listening to Donovan and I. So you guys, please enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon. Do something fun, and most importantly, stay safe out there. And as always, if you want to donate, we have a Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal crawling at the bottom of the screen. And if you want to follow the shows on podcast, it is on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Podbean. All right, y'all. We will see y'all later.